Hello everybody, thank you for joining me again. This is Chad Morrison with Standing in the Gap on my podcast, and I'm sitting here with Dove Goodpaster, who is running to be Washington County Commonwealth Attorney. And I want to say appreciate to you, Miss Dove, for taking time out of your schedule to sit down with me and talk. And I hope that we can give the audience in the county some really good questions and answers. And after these questions, I'm going to give you 5-6 minutes if you need it or want it to kind of just say what you want to say. And again, as I tell everybody, your questions will be the exact same questions that Mr. Cumbo would get as well. So it's same questions. All righty?
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. All right. So tell us about your background a little bit.
Okay. Thank you. That's a good, easy one to start with. So, well, I grew up in Hayside, Virginia. That's where I'm from, and we've been here in the county for about 10 years now. I graduated from Hayside High School, and I went to Virginia Tech for my undergrad. From there, I got a job actually at the law school in Grundy, and I did some recruiting for the law school over there in Grundy. I did that for 2 years. And I, always had an interest in being a lawyer, and it's a big commitment. It's very expensive, and it's a very time-consuming commitment to go to law school and to choose that as a career path. But I got to know everybody there at the law school, the professors, the people there, and I felt comfortable there. I felt like I was at home. Mm-hmm. So I went to law school there at ASL in Grundy.
Okay.
After I graduated, I first started as a law clerk for Judge Vanover in Dickinson County. He was a circuit court judge in Dickinson, and he has since passed away. I believe it was in 2020 that he had passed away. But he was a great mentor, and so he was sort of my first legal boss. So I did that for a year. From there, we moved out here, and we live in Bristol. We have a farm. We live near Wallace Middle School. We're in the Tyler district.
Yeah.
I
grew up in the lower end of Wendell, so.
Right. Yeah. So we love it here. I love that we can raise our kids here. This is a good place to live. But I worked at Legal Aid in Marion for 4 years, and now I'm in the law office here in Abingdon. Been here for about 3 going on 4 years with this office, and here I do some criminal law, family law, deeds, wills, and some estates. So just a little bit of everything here.
So you and that was going to be one of my follow-up questions to clarify. You actually do criminal law.
Yes, right now I do criminal defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I do practice in all courts in Southwest Virginia and in the federal court for the Western District of Virginia. Yeah, criminal law.
Yeah, that was one thing. So for the audience that might not know this, the thing about these questions is if there's clarification, I will try to ask a clarifying question. But for the most part, these questions are the same, and I'll do the same thing for Mr. Cumbo. Is if I need a follow-up question to clarify something, I will do the same thing. Okay, so all right, here's a tough one for you. You may or may not want to answer.
Okay.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I didn't know that was going to be your next question. Yes, I am. Part of my background too. You asked me about my background and where I'm from, and so my background, I went to the Baptist church growing up, and so I was baptized at a young age, at about 13, with the Free Will Baptist Church.
Okay.
When we moved here, it took some time for me to sort of find a church to go to.
Right.
And I'll tell you, we were strictly looking at Baptist churches, and so
I've got good Baptist friends.
I shouldn't have. And every church that I tried, every church that I went to, I really loved, and the people were very welcoming. went to several different churches and had friends at a lot of different churches. And I think actually drove by some Pentecostal churches and said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try that because I'm going to continue, but my family, that's sort of how we grew up, is in the Baptist church, and sort of Presbyterian too, but that's my background. And then now, I think it was, Randy, maybe they used to go to the church that, that we go to now.
Yeah.
At Grace Tabernacle. They were doing the children's vacation Bible school.
Okay.
And they were doing some prayer walks, and they came to our house and invited us. And at the time I had my son, I hadn't had my daughter yet, but we went to the vacation Bible school and just been there ever since. So,
well, good.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal.
So that's a strong part of who I am. It's my faith and my background. I think has been a reason of why I'm here today. So.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So for the people who may not know exactly what the Commonwealth Attorney does, can you give us an overview of the position, what it entails, what you do?
Right. Yeah. The Commonwealth Attorney. It's very basic. The Commonwealth is the prosecutor for this county. So
Okay.
right now I'm doing criminal defense. When somebody's charged with a crime, I'm either retained or appointed to represent that person in court and defend that person. And the prosecutor, sometimes referred to as the district attorney. Of course, we're in Virginia, and Virginia is a Commonwealth.
Right.
So we have our attorney for the Commonwealth, and that person prosecutes the crimes that have occurred here. Any of the warrants or indictments that come through the courts.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right. So, having looked up some information on every candidate that I hope to be able to sit down with, you are running as a Republican.
Yes.
So my next question would be, on a spectrum on a political scale from an extreme, right-hand sided extreme conservatism to a more liberal or liberal progressive, where do you find yourself fitting into that political spectrum?
So, I do have the Republican nomination.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of that, and I'm so thankful to have the support of the Republican Party from Washington County.
Yeah.
And the support of our Attorney General, the Commonwealth, and our governor. We have a Republican governor, Republican Attorney General. But for myself, I feel like I'm fairly moderate. I wouldn't say that I'm extreme on any side or extreme on any issue,
right?
Any political issue.
So would it be fair to say that you kind of think independently based on the Constitution?
I think so. Yeah. I think that the Constitution plays a part in my where I land on that political spectrum.
Okay.
And
because that is one of the questions, if I remember correctly, in a few minutes. I don't think anybody's ever asked me if I'm a constitutionalist. With how that plays into my role, of course, the Constitution, it's going to come up pretty frequently as a prosecutor. Your searches and seizures and your Fifth Amendment. So I would consider myself in that regard being moderate as well. I think that you can be so extreme that you can be so progressive that you've just progressed yourself out of common sense, or that you have gone so extreme that you're going to stand on that Constitution and wind up making a mistake. So keeping up with like the Supreme Court, you hear them say things like measuring it by or applying the Constitution first. Does it measure up to the way that the Constitution reads? And I know that today, politics, and this is kind of one of the questions, just a little bit different wording, but politics really does play a large role and what we believe, how we do our jobs, how we act, what we do. So from that perspective, how does your political opinions factor in, or for either candidate, how does your political views fall in line? Are they used a lot in how you proceed with your cases, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right, yes. So, one question that I have had a lot early on in the race is why is the Commonwealth's office even a political office? Why should you, do you have to be endorsed by a political party? And, people who've said, well, it's not a political job. But it actually is, because of your party values.
That's what I was trying to get at. I'm sorry, guys. Your political values do play a role in how you serve.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I would say that I'm moderate, but I do have strong conservative values. And, if either party strayed too far from what I, hold to be valuable, then I guess that's going to gauge how extreme I am
Right.
with a party. My values align more closely with the Republican Party, and then how that plays in with, being the Commonwealth's attorney is that, the Commonwealth has a lot of discretion on their cases, a lot of discretion on how they handle a case. And so typically, the conservative stance is that you're going to be tough on certain crimes. And I say that I'm moderate because I do plan to be tough on crimes like theft. However, there are some programs, that I think are valuable, that I think are progressive, like drug court. And so, every case is different. Every case comes with its own problems, with its own facts and circumstances. But, I can say that I would stand firm on, the conservative values.
Right.
I think that people don't, and I really hadn't contemplated this a lot before starting to practice law or before getting involved, in this race, as to how political that office really could be.
Right.
Because you have the opportunity to really help someone, and to help a victim in that role, to help your community. Right. And to stand firm also, and send a message to the community that there are certain things that just will not be tolerated.
Right.
So I feel like the progressive or the liberal stance on prosecuting, you can go too far with that you can progress yourself right out of what you're basically there to do. I am not the judge. I am not a social worker. I'm the prosecutor. And when somebody's charged with a crime, it would be my obligation, to prosecute that case as much as I can.
Right.
And
to make sure. Yeah.
Right, that our laws are being upheld, that we're sending a message to the community that certain things are just simply will not be tolerated. And there's certainly, values and positions that prosecutors take that are very conservative and very liberal.
Gotcha.
So.
All right, let me ask you this. With the state and the federal government making more drugs that are currently illegal or have been illegal legal today, how is that going to make your job? How do you feel about that, and how is that going to play into the justice system?
Right. So that legalization of marijuana is another hot political. It's a hot topic. It's a political topic, and that's why that position is a political position, because you can, choose which cases that you want to really go after, and then there are
Right.
some sets of cases. For example, in the Commonwealth, there are some offices that are progressive and liberal that they have, made it an office policy to not prosecute certain crimes. And so I would be definitely against that. But as far as, I'll just tell you a personal story about the legalization of marijuana. I mean, I can recall after that happened and after, our law reform, just, taking my kids to the store, a typical day, nothing very, nothing particular about this day. It's an average day. And I get to the store and it's just like this odor of marijuana hits you in the face. And I have my kids with me, and I do not want to be in a community where I have to be out and about and I have to deal with that. Now, if a person, we all can choose what we do in our homes, and, if somebody is in their home, whatever, that's fine. But I just could not believe that, if you go out and about nowadays, you might just be, that's just going to hit you in the face.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever forget that, and that's when the realization hit me that so many changes really are taking place, and that this is the kind of communities, that my children, like, as they get older, I want to make sure that, we don't go too far with that.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up question, and hopefully Mr. Cumbo will watch this video and kind of get an idea of what we're talking about, because I want him to answer the same questions. But this does bring up a question that I hadn't thought of, but might be a good idea to think of. It's pretty common now to have people who smoke marijuana at work, and it's like you said, it happens in public all of the time now. But how does that play into a role of being safe if we can't have legally drinking and driving? I mean, do you expect laws, or do you expect to prosecute, if you were elected, a little more harshly in a case where, the crime was committed because they were intoxicated through marijuana?
Well, it just depends on the case. And what I could say is that I don't have any control over what is on the books.
Right.
So my role, if somebody is alleged to have committed a crime, I'm going to assess that case and assess what the facts and circumstances were.
Right.
And you mentioned, smoking marijuana on the job, and I haven't seen that. But even though, marijuana, I guess my take on it is you can still become under the influence of it.
Yes.
Just like alcohol. So, if I certainly wouldn't want to see that any employees smoking while they're on the job. So, no, yeah.
Okay. How do you think you can improve, if you were to be elected as Commonwealth Attorney? How do you think that you could improve upon the position? And I'll actually go ahead and put two questions together there. What would you like to do, as far as what would you like to see and get done while you're in office?
Right. So, every crime that is on the books right now, every crime that's in the code, and every law that we pass is a deterrence to certain conduct, right? That's the purpose of criminal law, is to deter somebody from doing something or harming another person, because if they do it, they'll get in trouble, basically. That is the purpose of our criminal laws, that you can be punished. Yeah. It's different from civil law in that there is a punitive remedy in criminal law. You can be punished.
Yeah.
Right? You can go to jail if you do something wrong. And so, what I would propose is that, I have a few changes. Your question is, how can you improve that office? I feel like I have the same goal as any Democratic prosecutor in the Commonwealth, in that we want to try to work these cases and work these, all of these cases so that we're decreasing recidivism. We don't want people to commit a crime and then they're convicted of it and they go out and do the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And we're all trying to find a way to reduce that. Okay, so you can do that by offering somebody services. I mean, you can be progressive in that way and offer somebody, refer them to social services. You can refer them, to programs. You can not offer any jail time for that person if you feel like that's going to have an effect on them, if maybe perhaps they're showing remorse, and you can adjust their sentence so that they don't serve any jail time. But I am on a committee through the Virginia State Bar, Access to Justice.
Okay.
And so what I would like to do, and I think that this would affect recidivism without compromising, like I talked about, my conservative values,
Right.
without going so progressive that, we're not punishing people anymore for committing a crime, is to make some adjustments to the docket so that indigent criminal defendants can have access to their attorney sooner. I feel like if a person, having a court-appointed attorney, and I'm just talking about people who can't afford an attorney,
Right.
is really valuable, and I think it's, underutilized with criminal defendants, that they don't know what a good thing it is that they have an attorney who can help them. Right. And so they need to be heard by their attorney. They need, a lot of times, they're not just advising them on the law. An attorney is referred to as an attorney and counselor. Sometimes people just need basic advice, life advice. And so having a court-appointed attorney is so valuable. And what I would suggest is to, just make some adjustments to our current docket to have those attorneys available sooner
Good.
than they are today. So, and I mean, I could go on for a while about how it's set up, and that doesn't really matter, but that would be a minor adjustment that I think would have an effect without being so progressive.
Well, like you say, the goal is to encourage people to not break the law.
Yes. How do you get somebody to do that? I don't know. I don't think any of us know how we get somebody to not break the law.
But that's part of the remedy, is each person is individual as to what might help.
Right.
That's it.
Yes. The other things that I hope that I could do in that office, I mean, we already have drug court, and I feel like most prosecutors would agree with me that that's a very good program. It's very effective, and it truly impacts families in the community, and it truly helps a person to, stay clean.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is that numbers are kind of low in the drug courts.
For how many people goes through that?
For how many people who have a drug charge. There's that's one of the biggest problems in the community is drugs. And so I would like to look at that to see, if we already have a program that works well, how can we expand that to help more people? A lot of people are not eligible for it for a number of different reasons, but we need to look at it to see if we can do better.
See if you could actually get them into the program some way.
Yeah, some way. I mean, there might be people who just, for whatever reason, the drug court has its own set of guidelines, but it's actually changed quite a bit in a short amount of time. I mean, it's changed pretty drastically since I started practicing law, and with the people who are eligible and who are not. And so more and more people are becoming eligible, and I just would like to see that utilized, and maybe even a subset of drug court, that people who are not eligible for drug court can do some other similar program.
Yeah.
I, would prosecute every theft vigorously, a petty theft to a felony theft.
So there's no tolerance for that?
No, not at all. In the Commonwealth, there are some localities where the Commonwealth's offices are not prosecuting theft charges, and as a result, these things sort of go hand in hand. People in some of these larger cities in the Commonwealth can just walk in a store and walk out with handfuls of stuff, and they know that nothing will happen to them.
And then because of that, they just do it again.
They do it again. And so,
And there's a lot of repercussions for the store owners, for the people that are in the store,
yes.
Insurance. I mean, I don't know that and I guess this is a tangent for me, I'm sorry, but I think sometimes one of the things in this channel that I really want to get over to people is thinking, actually digging into things and understanding why. And when we look at how insurances go up, a lot of it is because of thefts.
Yeah.
Or illegal activities like burning a house down for the insurance money and stuff. And that makes it harder for everybody. It makes it more expensive for everybody.
I think that's just it sets a bad example too in the community that, that we're just going to allow this to happen. And because people, we're all going to be going to the grocery store, we're all going to be going to the gas station, we are there, we're out and about so frequently, and we're there with our children, and, we can't send that message. Part of the Commonwealth's office is that you're sending a message to the community.
Yeah.
Again, a deterrence.
Yeah.
Right? Don't do this here. If you do, it's not going to be good for you.
Right.
And so, that's just something that I feel strongly about, and something that I think could be improved upon.
All right, I want to give you a couple of minutes to kind of freeform if you want what you want to say, but I have a personal question.
Okay.
What would you say to people who say she's a woman doing this job? I mean, in today's society where it's equal for everybody, but that's not necessarily true for everybody.
Yeah, the only critics that I've had, some people might not openly criticize me and have their opinions about whether I ought to do this or not, and whether this is a fit position for a woman. But the only people that have actually criticized me are some of the leaders in the Democratic Party here in Washington County, which really is unfortunate because that party, that goes against what they stand for. They are the Progressive Party. They are the Liberal Party. They, support women and women's rights. And so they have been the only people that have criticized
Wow.
me.
I didn't know that, and probably most people didn't know that. But I kind of figured that there was probably going to be a little kickback just because we're rural, we're country. We've got a lot of people that's, we're not as progressive here as other places. So I figured there might be from somebody or some people, but that's kind of surprising to me.
It is surprising that they would criticize me for taking this on, and criticize me for some of the other things that I do. I'm an attorney. I hope to be the Commonwealth's attorney, but that's not all I am as a person. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I have hobbies, I do things.
And apparently farm.
We farm. My sister and I, we go to the farmer's market here in Abingdon, and so I do all of these things, and I don't think that makes me unqualified to be the Commonwealth's attorney, because as a woman, I have a perspective that a man can't offer, and my perspective is valuable. And the Liberal Party understands that, but they don't understand it in my race. But these other things that I do, part of what I'm doing is that I want to be an example for my children, and work hard for my own family. And so that's, I think in the community that we have and just in this day and time, I have no problem with women, choosing to be in the workforce or to stay at home, because
Well, it's their right to choose.
it's your right to choose, and both ways are valuable to the community.
It is.
So, like I say, the only criticism I've had has been from the Democratic Party, and it's surprising.
Yeah, I will agree. I was kind of surprised with that answer. All right, Miss Hope, or that's my wife, I'm sorry, Miss Dove. I appreciate you sitting down with me and talking with me, and I really hope that for the audience that they get a lot out of this. And like I say, this is for every candidate that's running, and we want every citizen of Washington County to be informed and make intellectually sound decisions. That's why I'm doing this. And again, I appreciate you sitting down with me. To the viewers, I hope you did get something good out of this. Please like, subscribe, and share, because we want everybody in Washington County to get to hear what our candidates stand for. Okay?
And final thoughts.
Go ahead.
Okay, final thoughts. Early voting starts September 22nd.
Okay. September the
And
22nd.
Yes, the last day to register to vote for this election is October 16th, I think.
But they can check with the registrar's
You can
office.
check with the registrar. Derek Lyle there just does an incredible job at our registrar's office. He's very responsible and very informative. Any question that you have, I'm sure he can answer it. The governor has started this initiative for people to be able to secure their vote. And so if you look that up online, you could find it very easily on how to register to vote early. And it's important to do that, to vote early if you can, to make sure that your ballot is cast, because on election day, I know that it's exciting to go on election day, and I prefer to vote on election day because it's just sort of symbolic too. But life happens. We don't know if we're going to be sick. We don't know if something may happen that might prohibit you from going out on election day.
No,
We don't know,
is
but-
there going to be any kind of drop boxes? I haven't even considered that, but where would you vote early? And drop boxes. Tell me what you got.
So you would go to the registrar's office.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, and you have to sign up
Ahead of time.
ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah, to be able to do that.
Okay.
So, but I would, if it were me, I would just Google "Secure Your Vote Virginia," and it's part of the governor's web page.
Okay.
And you can get
Secure
information.
your vote.
Secure
Virginia.
your vote.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And this year too is one of the first years that's an option for local elections. So
Okay.
that's kind of exciting.
Good deal.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye.